Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Iconic Insights podcast. So today our guest is Shona Cowley, and she is the owner of the Venture Vault and the Rainbow Vault. So the topic today is really to discuss her transition from operating as sole trader to setting up her own limited company, managing her funds through her limited company, and then everything you need to know from a design aspect for your business and your branding as well. So make sure to give it a listen.
So hello and welcome back to the next episode of Iconic Insights. We are absolutely delighted to be joined by Shona Cowley from the Rainbow Vault and
the Venture Vault.
So thank you very much for taking the time out, Shona.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to have you. Shona, I know we have kind of caught up briefly, just to give you a bit of insight. We are going to start with our quickfire questions.
Oh yes, exciting.
Our disclaimer is they're not so quickfire, but we'll do our best.
Okay, no worries.
So Shona, do you want to kick them off?
Yes, so what was your first job title?
Oh my gosh. My first ever job or job title. First ever
job.
job.
Yeah.
I think I worked in a pub when I was like 15 or something. Definitely underage. Used to steal chicken nuggets and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was just working in a bar.
Right.
Didn't know what I was doing.
Nice and young though. Nice
Very
and
young. My
Yeah.
sister worked there. She was like, get you in the back door.
Absolutely.
That kind of
You were
thing.
the
Yeah.
same, weren't you?
Yeah, I was the same. I
Yeah.
was the
But you
same.
had money when you were 15. You were like, who wants a chipper? I've got cash.
€6.10 an hour.
Yeah. Oh, I
Loved it.
know. Yeah.
But no, listen, I do.
If you've no
I-
bills, it's a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also find that hospitality gives an awful lot of life skills as well.
Definitely.
Working in
Yes,
hospitality.
I agree. Yeah, I
so
agree.
I don't think it's a bad entry.
No, yeah. You learn to be nice to staff as
You
well.
do,
Yeah.
100%, and the importance of it.
Yes.
But next question is, what word do you hate hearing?
Oh God. This is tough. What word? Like makes you cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate when people say fair. You know, that's a real South Dublin thing.
Yeah.
We just got like fair enough.
Yeah.
Some people overuse that
Yeah.
term. I
Yeah.
don't know.
There's so many different meanings.
gonna
to
say
it
it
as well. No.
I know, I was like,
Don't say fair. Don't say fair.
if you had to change your name, what would you change it to?
Oh my goodness, Shona. No, I don't know. I
Does
don't
that
know.
happen
I
often?
kind of like it. It does happen
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, and then you say Shona, and then they go, "Oh, sorry, Shona," like as in you have to pronounce it differently.
You're still not getting it right though.
I'm
kind of
not,
thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I like the name Shona. I've always liked because there's not many Shonas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely unique.
But yeah, Shauna's close enough. So probably Shona.
I'm going to take that as you wouldn't change it, which I like.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it. Genuinely wouldn't change it. Yeah.
Early bird or night owl?
Oh, night owl.
Yeah?
Yes.
Always been that way?
Always. I cannot go to bed early. Like I just when everyone else goes to sleep, I feel like that's when I can.
Come alive.
All the thoughts come
Yeah.
alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been well known to like work through the night and stuff like that, rather than getting up early to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
When that creative spark hits though, you can't.
Yeah.
Do you know, you
Yes.
just have to ride it. You
Yeah,
go with it.
just
Yeah.
go. Yeah, so definitely night owl. Yeah, for sure.
Go
To my detriment.
Sorry. Go to comfort food.
Oh God, bread. I feel like everyone loves bread. Or
Absolutely.
Indian, like a good Indian is such
That's
a
your
good
takeaway?
time.
Indian soup?
That's my takeaway.
Okay.
Oh my God, Indian. Yeah, me and my friends are obsessed. We've all worked in Indian takeaways as like teenagers and stuff,
Yeah.
so we're all like weirdly obsessed with Indian food. Any girls meeting, we're like Indian.
Indian.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's just the expected at this stage and the
It's
go-to.
just such a good time.
It's fair. Fair. What's your
Fair
favorite?
enough.
I did it. How many? What is that? 60 seconds afterwards. What's your favorite type of music, Shona?
Favorite types very varied.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I love like country music, like Luke Combs and stuff.
Okay.
Do you like Luke
Yeah.
Combs?
Yeah.
Some of my friends are like, who the hell is Luke Combs? But and then I love kind of like rap and stuff like that as well. So like really varied,
Yeah.
random
You're
stuff.
actually a bit like me then, I'd say.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that mixtape. I'm not going to
Like
lie.
Hosier, I love Hosier.
Yes.
He's really good. At the moment, I have him on like repeat, but all over. Yeah, I listen to anything.
Yeah.
Varied,
Genuinely, yeah.
Varied, fair. I'm like that as well, I have to say.
Even
Yeah.
classical music when you're working. I know it sounds
Yeah.
really strange, but like it's just like
Just
For
focus.
with
focus.
no
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
Love, yeah, or a bit of piano.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Name one thing you can't live without.
Oh, my little girl. No, that's so cheesy.
No, it's not. It's true though.
My daughter, but also like my laptop or my computer. Like I have an iMac computer.
Yeah.
And I can't live without it. Love
Yeah.
it. Do everything on it. Work and anything.
Will never change from an iMac.
No, I'm such a Mac head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Love.
for creatives, it's
Yeah.
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 it's a level above, isn't it?
Yeah. When I was in college and I walked into the room, I was studying animation, and there was just a room full of iMacs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm in heaven.
Heaven, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a MacBook, like a little small one, but I was like, iMacs are just, yeah. So computer and my child.
Child first, then computer.
Yeah. In a row.
That was the way it was, to be fair. That's not me correcting you. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh my goodness. Definitely something from my dad. What's that as an expression? Jump out of the airplane and invent the parachute on the way down. I love that.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
Haven't heard it that way before, but
Yeah, it's just kind of like go for it and you'll figure it out
Yeah,
yourself.
I
like it.
Yeah, that kind of
I do like that.
my kind of
just go for it.
my
Yeah.
kind of style.
Yeah.
Do you have any pets?
No. I don't. I had a rabbit when I was younger, but no, sadly.
What has been your favorite age so far?
Oh, that's a very good question. I loved my teenage years.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good time. A lot of fun. But I'm happy now. I think the older you get, the more you're just, secure in yourself.
Yeah,
and you're
absolutely, yeah.
don't care about things as
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, 17-year-old Shona or now Shona.
No in between.
No, your 20s are a bit, yeah.
Favorite hobby outside of work?
Ooh, I wouldn't really call it a hobby anymore because I don't really do it anymore, but I used to do stand-up and I loved it.
Yeah,
Serious?
you were
Yeah,
saying,
no, tried. I say like I wasn't like, I did the course in the Gaiety for 10 weeks
Yeah.
and it was brilliant. And then a few of us, we used to just like kind of do little gigs in town and stuff like that. So that was brilliant. I loved that.
I am
say that
fascinated
was
by that.
brilliant.
That is
Really?
unbelievable.
That's why when you
yeah.
asked me to do this, I was like, yes, before you do finish your sentence, because I haven't done anything like, speaking or anything like that
Yeah.
in ages. But yeah, love that.
Oh, I admire
That's
that
really
so
fun.
much. The
Very
bravery
hard.
needed
Yeah.
for stand up.
I
As I
wouldn't
said,
be
you get
able
older, you
to.
don't care as much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give it a go.
One life.
Yeah.
Last concert you attended?
Luke Combs, I think,
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was like 38 weeks pregnant, I was so tired. But it was in 2 weeks. We went. Me and my sisters went to Busted and Hanson. Do you remember they were in the
Yeah.
O2 there last October? And then Luke Combs was the week later. So
Very
yeah,
good.
Luke Combs.
Love it.
Yeah, that's it.
Top item on your bucket list.
Oh, I actually was like, one of them was recording a podcast. Like I've always wanted to do
Yes.
that. Maybe my own one someday. I don't know. But yeah, podcast and I don't know, like meeting Blind Boy Boat Club or something like that. You know, your
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Be on the Late Late Show. I don't know.
Excellent.
Random.
The Late Late Show is good.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Everyone always fantasizes about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Last one of the quickfire questions is: have you ever won a contest or a prize or that kind of thing?
I don't think so.
Same as myself.
Like nothing substantial. Not that I could like go like, oh, I remember I won that.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe in a raffle or something like a pub quiz.
Yeah.
Always that, isn't it? I know you went way back with jiu-jitsu and
Yeah.
well, your answer.
Like that's how long
Oh, like
ago
a
it is,
competition
though.
prize.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like probably no.
No.
It's like a medal for. Oh, actually, with speech and drama, I used to do speech and drama. You'd get like little, plaques for doing
Yeah.
like the comedy award and stuff like that. No big deal.
So you've always been involved then in kind of
Speech and drama,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Used to do
Excellent.
pantos and stuff. Oh no, I didn't.
excellent.
That was a
Excellent.
really awful joke.
No, I was absolutely not. I can see the podcast happening already, to be
Oh,
honest, Shona.
stop.
But you'll need a new bucket list. So do you want to kick us
Move
off
on.
then and get us into what everyone's
Serious
here to?
question?
Yeah, what everyone's here to. Everyone's here to learn.
Conversation. So you are the owner of two businesses, the Rainbow Vault and the Venture Vault.
Yes.
So essentially you specialize in design, website creation, everything essentially branding that a business needs. So I guess it's like, tell us a bit about your background, why you decided
To
design.
go to design. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about this on the way in. I was like, why do, I suppose when I was younger, my mum and my sister were very creative. They're both fashion designers, so they both studied
Yeah.
fashion design. So my mum would be making Halloween costumes, communion dresses, everything. And then my sister did it when she was a bit older. And so they were very creative and a lot of drawing in the house and stuff like that. Whereas my dad's very techie. So I always had the kind of two minds. I'd be like drooling on the computer keyboard, all that kind of stuff. So I was always like, I was like, I like both. I don't know what I want to really do. Thought I wanted to do computer science. I did computer science, dropped out of it. I thought in my head, I was like, I'm going to work in Microsoft. Funny now, because I'm a Mac lover. But I was like, I'm going to do computer science, go to UCD, and I'm going to work in Microsoft. That was what I get a Volkswagen Beetle. But that didn't really work out. Computer science isn't what you think I thought it was. I was going to learn web design.
Yeah.
You did a module of web design. That was it. So that's what I was saying. In my 20s, we're like, what am I doing? Like I was like,
Yeah.
and I dropped out. My mom was like, go back to college. So I tried to get into animation. The points were so high that year that I didn't get in. I was devastated. And she was like, just do something. It's like halfway through the year. So I did maths. Don't ask why. I just liked it in school, and I did a maths degree. I don't know why. I was like, I'll just do a year of it. And then my mum was like, if you don't finish it, and I was like, fine, I'll finish it. So I did that, and then I went to Edinburgh and studied animation and graphic design. So that's when I was like, I'm like, I've done your degree. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. So so then from there, when I came back from Edinburgh, I was working kind of. This is a long story, but I was working kind of for my friend's boss, and I was just taking invoices for them and stuff like that. And I was like, what am I doing? And then I started making websites for people. And then once I got my first check, opened my own first bank account, I was like, this is it. And I just left the job. And I was I was living at home at the time. So I was just like, any money was great. You know, I was like, I made €600 there for a website, like stupid money. Like that was like, to me, a huge deal at the time. But once I realized I could make my own money, I was like hooked. That's probably just answer your question about design. I love design.
Yeah.
No, it does.
It's why I started my own business.
Would you be like
by
artsy?
accident? Huh?
Would you be like artsy, like actual?
Yeah, I can draw, but I wouldn't say, like, it's funny that you say that because I actually never think of myself as artsy. There's people that are actually like, you know, with their clothes, they're artsy and they're you know, and they're artistic. I think I'm more logical. So I'm like, okay, you have a problem, I can solve it with design kind of more. So like, say like the brochure we all worked on years ago together. That's how we know each other. It's like, okay, what's the problem and how do we make it? That's why I find user experience really interesting, you know, and customer experience. Like, how does someone perceive the design? How does it help them? So I think I kind of like floated towards that more than actually being really arty, I suppose. Yeah.
I never.
Sorry, it's a long-winded question.
No,
or
but
answer.
there's a lot of value in there. Like, and this is where you're going to see me go off script straight away.
Love it.
But there's a lot to take away there. The first of which is about the brochure. Like, I would not say that. I would not say that you're not artistic after seeing the work that you carried out for us first and foremost. The second thing is, can I ask, was Edinburgh your first choice when you initially done the Leaving Cert, or was
no? I was computer science since I was 15. I wanted to do computer science, and that was just, I knew all the way up through school that's what I wanted to do. Edinburgh was only because I didn't get in when I dropped out of computer science. I didn't get into animation in IDT.
Okay,
the points were ridiculous, and you had to have a portfolio of points, and I didn't do a portfolio course, and you should have, and all this, you know, it was just one of those. I just messed it up really, and I was devastated. So then once I finished the maths degree, I was like, I'm out of here, I'm going to Edinburgh. And they had a course in animation and graphic design. And I was like, yes, I'm going to. And I wanted to, you know, at that age, I was 24. So you just like want to leave the country. And my sister lived in Edinburgh at the time. And I was like, Edinburgh's so cool, I'm going to go over there for the year. So I did that. I was so broke. Like you're saying, I was trying to work in a bar and study £6 an hour.
Yeah.
£6 an hour. It was really tough.
There's a lot of inspiration to come from that story, though, to be fair.
Oh, thanks.
There is, definitely. Like, again, like, don't get me wrong, I look back when I was doing the Leaving Cert, and you've got your plan, and you know, you don't really know what you want to do, like you say. But the fact that you continued to pivot until you knew what you wanted to do and you reached that target, I think there's an awful lot to take from that.
Thanks. Yeah, I think your parents are like, I mean, I'm always glad that I have a degree now, because I think if I didn't finish the maths, Mum, like, you know, I remember being like, you made me do that, and I could have been doing something else, but you know, it'll always stand to you to have a degree in something, you know. Anyway, so whenever you,
I think it just tests your commitment. It tests,
exactly.
you know,
It teaches you how to learn. I
and-
always say that's what college does. It just teaches you how to learn.
Yeah.
No one uses what they learned in college in life, really.
No.
Other
really
than learning
don't.
how to learn, I think.
I always said that in my first, and they were quite related, I suppose, but my first, I suppose, actual professional role after, you know, running around and serving plates and all that kind of stuff.
The good stuff.
I learned more within the first 3 to 6 months actually in that role than I felt I learned in the 4 years preparing for that role, if that makes sense. You know? So
I know,
no, there's a lot to take from that.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit more insight into the Venture Vault?
The Venture Vault, so I'm so excited about this because I suppose it's really interesting that you said, are you artsy? Because I suppose sometimes I think everyone feels like a bit of a, what's the word? Like what's that thing where you, imposter syndrome. I don't know what I was going to say there, but I like, you know, that we always have, I'm not really actually good at design. Someone's going to find me out someday and say, you're actually really bad at design. So I always thought, what I love about business is helping people. As cheesy as that sounds, it is like doing something for someone, seeing them go, oh, so cool, we love it. And it goes with our company, or it helped us get, like, you know, if I do presentation design, they're like, oh, it helped us get this investment or that investment, whatever. And I love that aspect of it. And I think a couple of years ago, I was like, I'd love to do like maybe teach a course in like starting your own business or design. I never knew what it was. It was always in the back of my head. I'd love to help people with it. Yeah. So then since I had Bonnie, I was like, oh, I can't work the way I used to anymore. Like, as I'm minding her all the time. So I was like, I think I now can start something that will be like a series of webinars and maybe an online subscription and like a community to help people who've always wanted to start their own business. Maybe they don't know where to start. Maybe people who already work for themselves and don't have a community. Like, I would have loved when I started off to have, you know, an online kind of like it's going to have resources to help you to, if you want to do your own branding, your own website, and to kind of help you through that, and still figuring out the tweaks of it. But it's for people who want to start their own businesses,
which is brilliant
to have support. Yeah. I'm so excited.
I would be as
well.
well.
I think you sometimes, I've been working for myself for 9 years, you get a bit about it, and you're like, no, this is now fresh and new, and I can. Yeah, they complement each other.
Challenge as well to kind of pick
such
up
a
on
challenge. Yeah. Because I couldn't even do the branding myself. You know, sometimes you can't do your own thing. I was like, I need to get another designer to help me with it because you overthink your own stuff.
Yeah.
And I got someone to do it, and I love it. I love it. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at your own stuff, going, "Oh, is it right?" And then you end up not doing it at all.
And it takes time, and then you have to change it. And it's an ongoing.
You need
project.
someone else to do it. I think for your own stuff.
If only you could be a fly on the wall, Shona, for the arguments that we have had. Not arguments, I suppose,
but I decide something, and then I'm like, after a few months, I'm like, oh, is that? I know I want to change this. It's like it's just. It's a constant project.
It is.
I think that's exciting about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Speak your mind is the main thing. It's better than not saying anything.
100%. And there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist either.
No, not at all.
But when it's, a micro detail that no one else can ever see.
Yeah. But she's proud of it. You're proud of what you do. So that's good.
It's great. It is what makes Shona, I suppose, so very talented at what she does.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess tie it back to the rainbow vault again, because it does, I know there's probably similarities there, but I think go through what are the goals and objectives of the rainbow vault as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the rainbow vault, they are different, very different, because it's a completely different client base. Like the rainbow vault is a lot of corporate, like I suppose, and like small to medium enterprises where you're kind of helping them out, and it's very business to business. And like that's why like Instagram, this is the thing as well, why I thought the venture vault was good, because whenever I go to promote myself on marketing and stuff like that, I'm always end up going back to like my journey. I always end up going, oh, I've worked for myself, and here's like, and then I'm like, I need to be talking about design. And I always edge towards talking about working for yourself when I'm trying to market the Rainbow Vault, which is just a design agency. So the goal of the Rainbow Vault are always to just have, nice clients. I love working with nice clients and repeat clients that you can you trust, and that they trust you, and the word of mouth is really good for keeping that going. So the goal is to keep that going, but maybe a bit more selective with what I take on projects, so that I can run the venture vault at the same time, and maybe hire a few people.
There's so much again. I love your answers. Yeah. What you just said there,
it's very waffly.
No, not at all. There's so much value in it. I think what you just said there is probably one of the biggest lessons that anyone venturing into self-employment can get. Right. Is that you don't say yes to everyone. And that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Finding your type of client is every bit as important.
People that value you, because a lot of people don't value design, I think sometimes, especially like with so much AI and stuff coming out and everything like that.
They learned that the hard way though.
Yes, but I think it's do you know what the worst client you can have is when someone goes, it'll only take you a minute. Because they're like, I said, would you go into the dentist and say it'll only take you a minute? Like, it's only a small filling. Can I just pay you €20 for that? You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that. Or I remember I had a client years ago. I don't mind saying it because it was years ago, and they were horrible. But I'd done all this like image editing for them. It was all Photoshop stuff. And they came back to me, and there was revisions and everything. So every time they added a new image, I charged them whatever it was extra. And I told them everything was very transparent, but I was still very new at it. So I was kind of, wasn't as confident. And then they came back and they said, no, we didn't. Let's say it was 1,300. They were like, no, we only wanted to pay 1,000. And I was like, that's like saying if you got 5 bedrooms of your house painted, oh no, I only wanted to pay for 4 or 3. I was like, you can't do that. And I was so like, oh, now I wouldn't have time for that. You can smell those clients coming. You know what I mean?
You can kind of see them before you even start to engage.
100%. Yeah. So
no, very important lesson there.
Yeah, I've gone off on a tangent, but that's the goal of the Rainbow Vault, is to keep nice people, and then the Venture Vault is to have a nice community of people who want to start their own companies and just be fun. And I just want it to be fun. That's the main thing, is to fun and information.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it progress, to be honest. You've kind of touched on it very briefly, Shona. You've been self-employed now for 9 years.
Yeah.
You've obviously touched on a little bit of, I suppose, your journey throughout that. Can you go into a little bit more detail about it, maybe, in terms of...
About the journey of being it? Well, so...
Started with websites,
yes. I always remember who it was for. It was Taylor's 3 Rock, the pub. They wanted a Christmas website, and the girl that I used to work with in Club 92, actually, she was so nice. She was like, can you just do us a website? There was no pressure. It was very just like, it's just a Christmas website. I was like, oh yeah, grand. And I love like just figuring out something. Like I said about the parachute and inventing the parachute. Yeah. If you just go to me, can you do this? I'll go, leave with me. I'll go figure out how to do it. And I loved that. I was like, I love just giving a challenge of how to do something. So that was like, it was all Christmassy website. I had lights hanging off, and it was ridiculous. Like it would look like Christmas vomit, which is what they wanted. And just getting that check was just amazing. Yeah. So
and was it the independence, do you think, kind of?
Yes. Yeah. And being able to, I could not believe, because I was so broke in Edinburgh, honestly, like I could not believe that I could make my own money myself without having a 9 to 5. And also I couldn't stand a 9 to 5. That sounds so spoiled child, but like I tried it and I was like, this isn't. It was like my brother-in-law has this really funny story where he said the first day he went to school, primary school, he came back to his mum and he's like, it's just not for me. And she was like, what? And she was like, no, you have to go over. He's like, every day I have to go here. And I was like, that was like me when I came back from Edinburgh. I started 9 to 5 and I was like, oh no, like what? Every day? I have to get the dart into town. I was like, no. Because you can't be, I don't think you can be creative 9 to 5, whatever. So to me, that aspect that I didn't have to get in the dart like everyone else, and I could just do my, like, you know, I loved that.
Yeah,
loved
the flexibility, the independence.
Flexibility, and just I was like, I could make my own website. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Fascinating. And
it's so exciting.
I suppose in terms...
It's hard, very hard. But
I was going to say, there's definitely some challenges.
Sorry,
I'm sure,
it's not all rainbows. Yeah.
But then I suppose you continued, obviously, when you moved back to Dublin. Would it be right in saying?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I only started when I came back from Dublin, and then I was living at home, and then I finally, like, I read a few books and stuff, and I was like, how do I move out of home with this? And I made sure I actually had contracts in place. I actually had a contract at the time with a really great architect. They just wanted their documents designed, and I was like, once I had that and I had my sets, I was like, I'm moving out, like up the road. But like I was like, I'm moving out, and like I couldn't believe that I could live on my own from working by myself. That was incredible. Like, it took a couple of years, but like I was like, I'm free. Milestone, but then it was really scary because I know it's only rent, it's not a mortgage. But I was like, oh, like if I need to work, I need to have clients. So there's a few sleepless nights for sure. But yeah, so you kind of learn how to you need a certain income to live and to whatever, and then you can,
and how to even channel that stress and the challenge. And, you know,
absolutely. It was sleepless nights, right? Like, you know, there was stress and everything, and like my eyes would like lose their focus and stuff. It was, but you know, you do it because you wonder why, what keeps you going doing it. You're like, it's because you love doing it. Like, otherwise you wouldn't be bothered.
Again, I think that's another snippet that you can take straight away. Like when you do something that you love, you can see past that kind of.
Yeah, and you wouldn't. Yeah, because you get into flow state or whatever they call it when you're you're designing. So people get in, they're playing guitar, or the piano, or whatever, and you're just like. And then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 a.m. And I'm just like really probably like focusing on like a logo or something. And I'm like, oh, that's not. And I've tried it 50 times. And I'm like, Jesus, you don't notice the time passing.
I'm actually learning so much about myself.
It's like a mirror.
Yeah,
it's like a Spider-Man meme, you know, where it's like. And you know, when I suppose you moved out, obviously, you kind of took on that challenge of standing on your own 2 feet, not only professionally, but also, I suppose, personally as well. When did you feel like, okay, obviously the first contract was, I've got enough, I can do that. When did you get your next kind of milestone and feel like, do you know what, I've got something here, I need to really kind of build this out and make a brand out of it?
So that client was just really nice, and I think then once you have a bit of work behind you, you can show that to other people, and then when people come to you, then you can say, oh, I know what this is, I've done this before, or I suppose seeing how I was able to support them. They didn't have me hired as an employee, you know, and I'd go into them, I think, like one morning a week in their offices, and they were just they'd all come down to me and be like, oh, Shona, can you just take care of this? And I was just there as their support in design, because they didn't have an in-house. A lot of companies don't have in-house designers. So I was like, I loved that aspect, that it was very hybrid. Like, I can just go, I can support you for as many hours as you need a week. You don't have to, you know, I'm not on your payroll. You don't have to pay my sick leave and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously, you know, you can get your own stuff in place, but like, there's no pressure on them. And then just to be able to support them, and then for them to be like, oh, great. You know, you sort of say, that's lovely. So I suppose to answer your question, I suppose once I started getting more confident in what I can bring to the table,
the value you were given,
then I know it sounds really like not cheesy, but like wishy-washy, but like it is about kind of, when you put that out there, people kind of come to you. I know that sounds real manifesty, but it is like, once you're kind of there and you're not chasing people. I've never emailed anybody to be like, can I work for you? Do you know?
That's incredible in itself.
But I don't think you need to do that if you know, networking and all that, you're, you know, the people you know, the people you work with. And if you're always nice to people, they'll be nice to you. You don't have to be the best designer in the world, I don't think. You just have to like hear people's problems and say I can fix it. Yeah, that's all it is.
So most of your business would have come from that word of mouth referral piece?
Completely, yeah, nearly 100%. Like just word of mouth.
That is crazy, Shona.
It is a bit, isn't it?
That like so impressive.
Well, not really. Well, no, I don't have a staff of like 10 people or anything like that. It's just mostly me.
I'm sure. You're still very, very busy.
I'm a bit risk averse. Like I'm scared of doing the next. I think the next level is like a huge big agency, and I've always been a bit. I like just being.
Which is fine as well, though. Because,
totally. You can make it. Like my dad works for himself as well, a completely different industry, but like, he's like, don't hire a lot of people. You need to pay them all.
I was at a HR event last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And one of the questions, what's your biggest challenge? And all these people, like 30 years individually experienced in different kind of areas of HR. And the common problem was people. So,
really?
And I suppose it's what their profession is kind of managing that aspect.
Manage
all of the challenges that come with it.
Yeah.
Why do you need to go down that route when you don't need to?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. But it is nice to get people in to help you for certain things. But contractors, the people that you just get in for,
Snippet.
So it is.
You're pitching contractors for a show without even asking.
No, but it is. Yeah, but it is like you get someone in to like. I had a lady. She's a good friend of mine. I've never actually met her, but she's really funny. She's from Kilkenny, Sandra. She's amazing. She's all over LinkedIn. But she started her own virtual assistant company, and now it's like a whole admin side of things, and they just support businesses. And I'm like, what an incredible idea. Yeah. And I got her. I think it was 2 years ago. She worked for me for about 6 months. Because I was like, I'm getting bogged down like invoicing people and all this stuff. I was like, and she was like, you just need to focus on design. I'll do the rest. And like, it was the best, and I say about talking about money, but it was the best money I made because I invested in her. And it's really scary to do that, but then you do that and then it frees you up to do other things.
Yeah.
And then she went on maternity leave and I was like, oh my God. But like things like that. There's people out there. Yeah. And I think as well, this is like a venture vault plug, but like, I don't like people thinking that they can only ever do a 9 to 5. I'm like, you can create your own kind of work, whether doesn't have to be design. You could be a virtual assistant, especially people who have babies like myself, like stay at home mom. You can actually do both. You can do both.
Well, it's again another example.
Or men as well. There's a lot of men that want side hustles or they hate their job and they want to leave it.
100%. And a lot of people again feel naturally that you have to get to a certain point before you do. Yeah. Kind of, have the ability to leave it.
You can be doing something on the side.
Well, you take Uber. Look at what Uber is now, and the flexibility piece is kind of the option to be able to dip in and out and work your own time, and so the model is proven.
Yeah, a lot of people doing that, like Ubering on the side. Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's not. I don't think it's as popular here. I think there's more legislation in Ireland.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a row between the taxis and the Ubers potentially. Okay, but if you go on a city break elsewhere, like. I can log into Uber as a driver and I can say I'm working today 7 to 9, but tomorrow doesn't really suit me, so I'm not working. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it really gives people that flexibility. But again, it kind of falls back into that bracket where you were saying that it doesn't have to be around a specific time. No. You can find things.
And just like a company will have bespoke needs with design, you can also have a bespoke set of skills. Sounds like taken. I have a specific set of skills that they can.
Give us your best Liam Neeson.
Yeah. I will find you. No, but you can also like do that for other people. Do you know what I mean? And it can be a few. You can run a whole business with like 5 clients.
Yeah.
They could all be paying you $1,000 a month. You're happy out. You're doing a few hours here and there.
Yeah.
In your own time.
Yeah. And what I love about what you said though as well is like you can, even if you're happy with that, then if you get to the stage where you do want to grow that and you do want to kind of scale it, doesn't mean you have to bring everything in house. Like you say, you can outsource, you can
outsource, fully. And there's so many services out there. Like I know people talk about Fiverr and stuff like that. Like Fiverr is good for certain things. Like I used Fiverr the other day for. Someone gave me a load of. I was doing their website, but they gave me a load of their music, and their meditations. It was a kind of a wellness website, and they wanted me to add music to it, right? And like this is the thing, I always say yes to everything. Like I'm like, I'll figure it out. Oh yeah, grand, I'll mash them together. Like because I could do a bit of video audio. I was like, that'll take me so long, and it's so not what I want to do. So I was like, I just paid someone €30 on Fiverr to just stitch them all together. Yeah. That's what Fiverr's good for. Yeah. I wouldn't suggest anyone go get all their branding done on Fiverr because it's someone that you can't always rely on and stuff like that. And it mightn't be excuse me, what you fully want or need, but there's things out there to support you, I think.
And it can fill in the gaps, I think, is
exactly.
the best way
be clever about it.
Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Before we move on quickly, sorry, Shauna's absolutely jumping at the gun here. I just want to touch base on when you started out. I presume it was initially sole trader in terms of yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And what kind of, I suppose, happened along that journey?
You helped me decide last year, because I was obviously having a baby, and I was like, I did not know. I think it was yourself. One of you guys said to me, you can't work when you can't pay yourself a salary when you're on maternity leave at all. You know what I mean? But if you're a limited company, you can, because it's just like an employee like anybody else getting maternity pay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sign me up. Sign me up. I was like, I didn't know that. Like, you cannot, I know you can't work, but you're not supposed to work on maternity leave. You're getting the government benefit or whatever. But I didn't know you couldn't. Like, I was like, I would have been like really stuck if I couldn't pay myself from the limited company. So yeah, I was sole trader for like 8 years.
And I'm not asking this with a bias behind it.
No.
Do you notice a big difference?
Oh yeah, no, it is a tough transition, because I was used to all my money bank. It was all my money. Now I had a business account and a personal account, but I would I'd get a big contract in or a big tender, and I'd be like, who wants drinks, and then you're like, no, because tax has to come out of that and VAT and whatever, whereas limited company, it is literally like you're an employee, like you have to request payroll. I'm like, so that was tough, and that was really tough. And if anything, I would have done it earlier, because I was in the middle of about to have a baby and had the baby, and I was like, oh god, how do I what's this going on, because it was and also because I had to change bank account. That's another thing I didn't know. You can't have a sole trader bank account. It has to be at a separate limited entity. So that was a bit of a slow, because I had to tell all my clients new bank details. And I'd already changed from Ulster when Ulster Bank left Ireland.
So you had to do it
twice in a year. I was like, new bank details, and again new bank details. So there was that transition. I was literally due my baby, and it was people still paying into the old. So there's a bit of that. I should have done it earlier.
No, but really interesting. Really interesting.
It's great. Sorry, it's the crux of it.
But I think again, there's an awful lot of people out there,
and
I think that could be something potentially for the venture world as well to take. Do you know, even in terms of that
100%.
guide, because it's something that we try to speak about. We probably don't speak about it enough. Being 100% honest. And it's not because we're not passionate about speaking about it or trying to educate people and inform them. But a lot of the time it's, this is the devil I know, and it's better than the devil that I don't. And you know, there is that kind of arm length distance away from it. But definitely something that we need to, I suppose, try harder at.
So sole trader, I think, can be a bit bury your head in the sand. You're kind of going, oh, there's money in the account, it'll be fine. And you're, I used to, especially the first years, I didn't make, the first year I think I made 10,000, which sounds like loads, but it's not, obviously, at all. I had no expenses. So I was like, oh, I'm rolling in it, but I was living at home, no bread. But I remember being like, oh my God, I have to pay tax now in October, November, and it wasn't much. So I kept going, you can always just pay it. Or I'll get a big client in, I'll just pay it all off. The more and more you make, you start drowning and you have to start putting it that away. So for me, and maybe most people do, and I'm just unorganized, but I started being like, I need to. It was always this thing in the back of my head, being like, oh my God, this is great. I'm making I got loads of clients, and then I'd be like, I have this tax bill at the back of my head. So the sole trader just completely, or the limited company takes that away completely.
Yeah, it does eradicate
and also
it.
you have, I have them, or is it Mark? Mark. I can ask him anything anytime, because he's I have him monthly, I pay him monthly, and he just he's like, any question. You know, and it's also, as you I think got me into, because you were like, it's so tax efficient, you can do, there's so much things I didn't know about.
It just, from my angle, the big thing for me, right, and I completely understand, like you say, that sole trader is perfect to start out, especially when you're talking that kind of, that figure in terms of revenue. But there becomes a very specific cutoff, and I don't think it's something that's, I suppose, talked about, communicated enough. Where now you're actually, as much as it was convenient at the start, you're making this less convenient when you're at a certain revenue threshold. Because the discipline is required, like you say, to separate the income, and you have to wait until the tax return falls due, and you can have an idea as to how much it's going to be, but with a limited company, that kind of switches to, I know exactly how much tax
and you're paying it every time. You're paying tax every time you have payroll.
So
and then you're paying tax on your profits. Which is amazing.
And you feel a little bit more in control, and like you say, even before you get to that profit point, there's a little bit more flexibility in terms of what you can do. And even
at the profit point, you can then put your profits into a pension and stuff.
So a lot more flexibility.
No brainer. It's amazing.
Sorry, I'm going to let you speak. My apologies. I do this. I did warn you.
I'm yapping.
No, this is brilliant.
That's
absolutely brilliant.
Point of the conversation. I guess if you were to go back when you were setting up the business, what advice would you give to someone, or would you do anything? differently?
I honestly, I don't know. Now, as you just said, it probably is better to go sole trader. I was going to say I'd go limited earlier. But advice, I'd say, see, it depends on if you know, if you've mortgage, kids and all that kind of stuff, you obviously can't just leave your job and just go, well, I'm going to do what I want. So it depends where you're at. I think the younger you are, and if you're still living at home, you don't have much expenses, definitely just go for it. That would be my advice. But I'd say have your ducks in a row. They always say, now, you know, it's harder to do, like, you know, have like 6 months runaway money so when you're starting your own business, so that, you know, you can really focus on it and not worry about money. But, you know, that's hard to do as well. You have to save it. But I would just be kind of, I think, find clients that are nice. Find what you can, you know, the most amount of money you can make doing something that's solving a problem for someone. Because it is all about money at the end of the day. Like, it is, you can be all like, oh, I love what I do, but you have to make money. You know, it's like, you know, you guys know that from an accountant company. But like, you know, that it has to make sense. You know, like you could be, because a lot of people have great hobbies. They're so talented. Like, you know, people that make creative things at home. Like, I mean, like physical, you know, like people that make paintings or, you know, like crafty things that I always find they're so amazing. But they, you know, like they have to, it has to make sense. They'd have to say, I need to sell this many things to make this much money a month and so that. So it's getting that business. That's the kind of people I want to help as well. Like these incredibly talented people that are creative, that have started a business from their kitchen or whatever it is. And it's like, oh, how do I start branding a website? Like, I'll help you. Like, let's do it. And let's make it make sense as well to make you money.
Commercially as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can do, like, you can have all these ideas, and if it's not making you money, you're just going to, you know, then you start hating it.
It is a hobby.
It's a hobby. Yes, exactly. How do you turn a hobby into a business, essentially? That should be my tagline.
I was just about to say, great slogan. Great slogan. Great slogan.
How do you turn a business into a tagline? Oh, okay, yeah, write that down.
We'll have it recorded.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, not
I
at
thought
all.
we were all just in a pub there for a minute.
Well, listen, that is, I suppose, what we try to create. The next part of that question, I did have something to ask as well. No, you keep rolling. You keep rolling.
I guess it's probably, is there something like interesting you found out when you were like going, let's say, from the transition, or even actually starting off freelance and sole trader and maybe move into the PLC option? Like, is there something interesting you found along the way that like someone starting contracting might find surprising?
Interesting.
Well, we've got the bank. That was a bit of, you know, that stuff. That's one thing. That's and also the transition. It's more so the client piece rather than, like, don't get me wrong, I understand opening a bank account is a pain. It's more so communicating that to your clients and making sure everyone's on the same wavelength.
It's so funny because when I was opening that bank account, I was like 40 weeks pregnant. And I remember being like, I need to open this bank account. And they were like, I was like, can I just do it all online? And they rang me being like, you have to come down to the bank. And I mean, I was like, it was like my due date. And my mum was like, you're not driving. And she like drove me down. So that kind of thing is like knowing, I just didn't know, like, and you know, to make sure it all lines up. But so something interesting. Yeah, like VAT, you have to change your VAT number as well, going to PLC. So that's not really interesting. But yeah, I think I'm going to go back to just saying clients. Like, just make sure you find clients, depending on what you're doing. Like, you could be a personal trainer and that. Work with people you want to work with. And I think that makes all the difference because people can really make you get in on you when they are not appreciating your work, or they're being rude to you, or treating you like you're their employee, and, you know, undervaluing you. That'll only take you a minute. That, you know, notice those things. The same in any industry, I think. Just notice the people that aren't valuing you. I think that's probably the biggest.
So identify the red flags as quickly as possible. Then.
Yeah, if you get a bad feeling, you know when you meet someone, you're like, they don't, I don't, you know. Then why would you work for? And sometimes you have to say like yes. Obviously, when you're starting off, you have to say yes to things you might want to do, and we all have to do things we don't want to do, obviously. But if you're not being valued, obviously walk away. I think always. Yeah, I think something. It's not worth. If it's costing your piece, it's too expensive.
Yeah, 100%. 100% love that.
Yeah,
I think what you've touched on there as well is very valid. Like at the start, yes, by all means, you have to kind of learn the hard way, and, you know, but use that time to learn from it. You know, don't like set out your red flags based on the experience.
Yeah, and you're not as like obviously you're not as skilled at the start as well yourself, so you kind of have to take on projects like that's probably a bit of advice, I suppose, as well. Like your other question about for people in design that are starting off, like do things for your friends and do things for, you know, local pubs and say, can I do some posters for you? Can I do your webs or like, you know, your branding or whatever? But then stop doing that. Like, you know, don't work for your friends and family. Like, because like people will be like, everyone wants something for nothing then. And you get into kind of hard times, and
Yeah.
there's people going like, sure, you already do that, sure, you could do that for free. And you're like, don't do things for free, you know.
Yeah.
You're undervaluing yourself by doing that. We all do. I've done all of it. All of it.
But at the start, it's okay to be kind of looking at it from a selfish aspect and say, well, I need to build a portfolio.
And then also you're learning the process and learning mistakes, and maybe there's not as much pressure there. I think they should pay you something, of course, but you know, to be building up to that, I think that's okay at the very start.
And it might even, like you say, it might even be, I suppose, a little bit less daunting for that person to actually approach, let's say, their ideal customer profile, if you like. We'll start with someone that you're not really too fussed about if they say no, and that'll help you to build up that kind of self-confidence to go and ask the people that you're really chasing.
Or people that you like there could be businesses out there that you like, local businesses that you're like, I love that. I'd love to go in and, you know, help them out or see if they need help with anything. And it is, again, about helping people. You know, that's at the end of the day, is just making them feel good. And if they don't appreciate that, bye.
Again, a massive lesson. Do you know what I mean? Like having the confidence, obviously, you know, the self-belief, but also, more importantly, I think the awareness to be like, this is actually, like you say, going to cost me my peace long term. Like, so am I going to be delivering my best work for the other clients that I'm servicing if it's a case that 100%. I continue working?
And if it can get in on you, you can kind of be lying at night going, should I have said that? Should I have that?
Yeah.
And like, and as well, to have your own back, that's probably even more important, I suppose, in terms of like something that's interesting, is like having your proposal. It doesn't have to be necessarily a contract. I think sometimes people are like, oh, to sign something. Having your proposal 3 revisions included, or having your proposal by this date you have to give me the content, or this, because things can get so blah, like, you know, and people are slow getting back to you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think having no, I'm the same though. I can be like, sorry, you know, my emails always start with sorry for the delay in getting back, like, you know, because it's hard to run everything. But I think having so you can always fall back on your own proposal to say, well, as per the proposal, this was only supposed to be 6 pages, or as per the proposal, there's only 3 revisions. You're on number 2 now, and always let them know. Because then you're kind of not putting yourself in like a sticky situation where they're going, well, it's not finished yet. And you're like, well, here's what you paid
you're
for.
You're setting a standard, essentially.
Like, it's hard to do. Like, now I don't always do it. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have said that.
You can be a little bit more flexible in certain you know, instances, but having some
the more
sort
specific you are, the more you can lean on it then, you know.
You're protecting yourself, essentially.
100%, you learn that the very hard way.
That leads us in, I suppose, to another point, and I'm going to change the question slightly, but it's going to be, what advice would you give to someone setting up a business or transitioning to kind of self-employment? I'm going to ask for 5 key tips.
Oh,
they
God.
can be short, they can be sweet. They can be, and again, it can be, let's say, for example, speak to an accountant, number 1, or it can be,
that's a good point.
Get your
you do them there.
But no, it can be, you know, have an idea in terms of what you want your brand to be, or what you know, what kind of 5 steps would you?
I'd say if you're going to be a brand, see, you can be a faceless company. I think these days, especially it's a lot younger things, I think you have to be like this on Instagram all the time. Like, I didn't do anything, and I would, but I just don't have the time to do that. So I don't think you always have to be a big, you know, you can run a successful company without being a big Insta hun or bro. You know, you can do that. So I suppose, talk to an accountant, figure out who your target audience is and where are they. Like, mine aren't on Instagram because they're corporate. Now the venture world will be very much people like us that we want to kind of target, but LinkedIn is great for obviously business to business, as you guys know. So I think your tone of voice is where to start. Maybe that's not, because number 1, tone of voice, how you want to speak to your clients. If it is business to business, you want to talk their language. So if you're a technical company and you want to talk, if you're a coder and you want to talk to other coders, you speak like that. Like, we will read it and not understand it, but they will, like that kind of thing. Or if you're friendly, like, is it like, what's your vibe, I suppose, your tone of voice. So that always informs the branding then, to be like, are we fun, are we playful, are we serious, are we industrial, are we, you know, I always give people a questionnaire, and it's like very opposing things. It's like, are you playful or are you really serious? Like, you don't want a law firm to be like, hey, you know, you know, like a stars and sparkles everywhere. You're like, no, I don't really trust you with my will. You know, that kind of thing. So it has to be obviously appropriate, but to be different. I think this day and age thing, a lot of things go. But so I suppose, your tone of voice and your brand is important if that's what you want to do. You see, there's so many different industries. Like, I keep going back to like thinking of a personal trainer or whatever. Like, there's so many different things. Where are your clients? What's your brand? What's your tone of voice?
How are you going to speak to them?
Talk to an accountant. How much do you want to make? I love doing such a good exercise. Go, what do I want to make a month? Right? Obviously, everyone's going to say €1 million or whatever. But like, if you were like, realistically, I'm going to make $5,000 a month, or like start small or whatever, smaller, like $2,000 a month, whatever. And how do I do that? How many clients is that? Like realistically, how many hours do I have a day? Am I available fully Monday to Friday, or am I only available like, you know, the weekends?
This is the maths coming out now. This is the maths
It
degree.
It's the
paying
logical,
off.
the logical side. But I love that stuff.
Yeah,
My dad's like that as well. We're all like, right, what does this mean, and how does this work? And that's important.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It just falls on its.
And again, like even in terms of building that momentum, building that courage, that confidence. To me, it's all about if you can set a goal. Obviously, you want it to be smart and specific and measurable, and you know all the realistic and that kind of thing. I get that. But like you say, sit down with a pen and paper and be like, well, what does that actually look like?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
If it's not possible, what am I going to do to make it work?
And for your price points as well.
Yeah.
Like say you're, you know, I'm actually thinking myself now of really productizing the Rainbow Vault to be like, you know, a brand package is X amount. And I do have prices, but, you know, people go on my website and they'll see, she does this and that. Oh, what does she actually charge? And they are bespoke quotes, but if you just said you'll get XYZ for this amount, so say you sold a brand package for €500, I'm just picking numbers out, but if you said, right, I have to sell 10 of them in a month to make $5,000 a month, you know, that just that kind of thing, and it's exciting. You get kind of giddy going, okay, I have to make 10 grand, like if I maybe made them all 850, then I could do less and make more, and that's really fun to do. I think every few months.
I think what you've just come out with there is probably the best bit of advice I've got sitting on this chair, to be honest.
That's good.
Genuinely.
I don't do it as much as I should, but I used to always love doing that.
Yeah, it's a really, really helpful activity though.
Well, definitely for someone starting off.
Yeah,
100%.
And make your own calculators. I want to have a calculator in the Venture Vault that says and includes tax in it and everything. If I think I remember I made one before. I used to just make them in like Excel spreadsheets. If I want to make 10,000 a month after tax, what is that number? Before all of that, and what is that broken down then into how many websites I have to do? No, I haven't.
When you build that Excel, will you send that across to me, please?
But this is the thing, like I think with the Venture Vault, the big dream of the big goal of the Venture Vault would be to have an actual like software as a service. Like they log in, they're a member, they pay €50 a month, they're a member, they log in and they go, here's all my bits, here's my branding, here's all my logos, here's a little, you know, calculator area where I can figure out, and it's just a jotting down thing. It doesn't actually like, it's not an invoicing service or anything like that, but it's like a hub to be like, this is my hub of everything to do with my business.
Love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
It's brilliant. I'm like,
guys.
I want to join.
You taking investors on that?
Leave your jobs. Just leave your jobs, guys.
I guess moving into design aspects.
Oh,
now we're in the now we're in
because I'm so artsy.
So for someone starting off, like what would be the starting steps? Would it be website? Would it be socials, brochures?
For a company?
Yeah, like I think
freelancer or company?
I think I would say freelancer, to be honest with you. I would say someone kind of like, let's say the start of your journey, like where would you, like if you want to build your presence, where would you essentially start? And like have a professional look.
Yes,
to it as well.
exactly. So I do think now, and this is coming from someone who does branding, I do think you can start, like you can overthink it and then you can go, I'm not starting, and I'm very much like that. I can't start that. I can't promote myself until I'm happy with the logo, until I'm happy with this.
Until it's perfect.
But, until it's perfect. And most people, that's what I want the Venture Vault to do. I want it to be like a do-it-yourself service, but like, so the thing is, like, come on a Saturday, let's say, it's online, we do 3 hours maybe, and in that 3 hours, we're doing it together. We all go on. I think Canva's a lot easiest for most people. I'm not going to start teaching people Adobe Illustrator, but I could down the line. But we all do it together. Then you have like ownership of it. You go, I picked these colors because I like these colors, and start the websites with that. And then, just start. And then down the line, if you're doing really, really well, pay a company to do your proper branding, you know, and do it like really, really well. Because like, you know, yourself, if it was someone that was starting their own business, I wouldn't go, oh, geez, their logo's not great. I won't buy their really cool cakes that they make in their kitchen. Like you don't mind as much. It's big companies that need the serious branding because they have to be taken really seriously, if you know what I mean. But I think when you're starting off, you're okay to make it just, you know, yourself, I think, if you're really starting off, you know, and then, you know, down the line you can always rebrand or change it or just upgrade it. Yeah. But that's what I want the Venture Vault to help with, because you can make your own, you make your own branding, and then you'll have access to me for like 2 weeks, and I can be like, review your stuff and say, I would do this, this and this. So it's like you're getting the advice, but you're still have ownership over it yourself. So that's the idea. So come to the Venture Vault is the answer. No, but I think you're okay to do your own stuff if you're very, very early starting out, especially if you're not a huge company. But I'd say for a company, I would say get it done properly because, you know, if your branding changes, even if your, you know, fonts, like say you've like your lovely fonts, I remember this from all the brochure, it has to be consistent across all your marketing channels, as you know, like, because otherwise they say it's like, you know, it's like picking up the phone with a different voice every time, and people start going, I don't really trust. It is a trust thing with big companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different answer, I suppose.
Recognition as well, like just,
Recognition. Yeah, you're dead right. Yeah. So I think there's two different. Yeah.
Last week.
Consistency for big companies, and then but you can do that yourself from the start. You just need a bit of knowledge on it, really. You know.
There's a famous saying that comes up in our office quite often. I won't mention any names, but typically it's obviously aim, ready, fire.
Yeah.
It's fire, aim, ready. So backwards, basically, just do it, and then. Do you know? Yeah. It's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that from an account's perspective, but it's a little more, I suppose, in the kind of strategic point. Go and figure it out. You know, don't kind of like you say.
And then have the consequence after.
Yeah. Do you know?
Yeah, and you learn. You do. You learn from that. Then. Yeah.
You learn more from that.
What works, what doesn't work.
You do. You learn more from it. So don't kind of hold fire until you're at that.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I'm just thinking of someone at the moment at home who might be listening to this going, I've always wanted to do something like that. Like, what are their next steps? And it's like, just get going. Yeah. Just get yourself out there. And then things pick up and things. It's like that girl I was saying I met who runs Girl Gotta Change the notebooks. She just started selling planners, right? Because she was like, there was never a planner out there that I really worked for me. So she started making her own. Yeah. Put them on Instagram. Sold like hotcakes. She was like, I didn't have a designer. I don't design myself. She's like, I just was making these things and got them manufactured. Now she's doing it for 5 years now. Then she got a better manufacturer to make like really plush, lovely planners and she's 25.
But continuously
4 people working for her. She's incredible. Yeah. Alicia is her name. She's amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love seeing people, especially women, doing like their own thing. I think it's amazing.
It is. So cool. There's such a sense of empowerment from it as well.
Yeah, just no one can ever fire you.
Yeah. Good way of looking at it, Shona. Good way of looking at it.
I guess that actually covers a lot of the points. I guess the next one would be, though, design wise, is there any like pitfalls people should be aware of and not do? I suppose the thing about inconsistency, there's nothing worse than, because I have helped some friends out before with like, if they are starting something on the side, I'll do their branding and their website, and then they're like, everyone just does their own social media. You know yourself, like people wouldn't have, like, I don't even pay anyone to do my social media. I should, but and then you see the social media just doesn't match the fonts and that. And I'd actually think, again, people don't care because they're just there to get the service or the product. Yeah. They don't really care. They don't go, because it's a smaller company, they don't care as much. But I'm looking at it going, oh my God, they're different colours. So you always have a colour palette to choose from. Always have and a backup secondary palette that complement each other and that kind of thing. I think when you bring in random stuff, that's a bit of a pitfall in design, I think. You're
basically undoing what you're there to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I've designed their branding, then people go, oh, you did their branding. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't do their social media.
Quick.
That wasn't me.
Disclaimer.
So that kind of thing. And then sometimes I go, oh, I shouldn't do that stuff. Or if I do someone's website, then you give them access to it and they move something around or they change it or they just slap in a load of text. And again, that's just education. You just need to make sure either you don't let them and you go, have me on a retainer, I'll help you out or whatever, or you really teach them how to do it themselves, because I believe everyone can do everything themselves. I'm not like, hire me, like you know, for everything. People can do, like, learn stuff. You have to be willing to, I suppose, to learn it. But that's the pitfalls is stuff that's all random and not in your style guide. Style guides are like Bibles.
Brand guidelines.
Yes. Brand guidelines. Yeah.
We're going to move swiftly along from that point.
No, why does he go off the brand guidelines?
No, I don't go off the brand guidelines. I don't. But let's just say, and I don't undervalue them. I absolutely don't, right? Just to clarify on that point. I'm not saying that. I sometimes I'm on the fence of
the time investment.
Okay. In what sense? Do you mean to go look over it?
Not even that. It's like, okay, I am, let's say I'm in a position now where I'm going to try and start something. Okay, as a side hustle. And
exciting.
If I started as a side hustle, is it a case that I'm going to get more value out of the brand guidelines right now, or speaking to potential customers right now?
Yeah, you're right.
Do you know? And weigh it up. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, both are very valuable.
No,
It can't be a case that you remove the brand guidelines, but that's why I suppose.
But you can't have one with the other. You can't have lovely branding with no customers. You know?
But also, you can't probably attract the customers without. Do you know? So
well, it's just more professional. It's like putting on a nice suit, even though that day's gone. I don't know. It's just like it's the face of your
absolutely.
company,
And it's so important, like you say, in terms of the consistency, the messaging. Like
So
first impressions last.
Do you mean like if you were putting together like a proposal for someone, you'd be like, oh, do I have to go on the brand guideline, that kind of thing? I think that's a lot of what people struggle with.
It's more so again, like, okay, what time commitment should I put into this? Because I would very much be of the opinion I'm that guy that goes around in circles, where I like it today, I've no tattoos based on that. That's the best way I can describe it. I'll get a tattoo today, I'll love it. Tomorrow I'll be like, hate that.
Yeah.
So I'm on a brand guideline activity.
Yeah.
I'm the worst person in the world because it'll be perfect on Monday. Tuesday it's terrible.
Yeah.
We changed it all on Tuesday. Brilliant again Tuesday evening. Wednesday, no, not happy. Do you know? So for me, that's an outsourced activity.
Yes.
That's do you know? And it's about kind of knowing that as well.
Yeah.
But Shauna's sitting there smirking, being like, because I let's just say I had an activity where I had to kind of take part in something similar. The time it took me, and I was like, I admire what you do so much more after sitting through the pain of having to
what to go through.
Just like everything
to make sure everything
make it aligned. Even the thought process that has to go into it. You know, not necessarily tone or any of that kind of stuff. That kind of came naturally to me, but more primary colour, secondary colour, why? Do you know? And it's about that why.
Down to like shapes and everything. Like, why did you think this? Like, it was more that it's like, what was the meaning behind it?
I was
getting them to write it down.
I was like, because it's a Euro sign. That's
so I would have been loved for the fly on the wall.
But again, it just goes to show. You know, it does absolutely resonate.
Design is everything.
But the more stuff you design, then you have like a bank of templates of things. So then it shouldn't be so hard every time you go to do something. It's like they're all there.
100%. And you've got that A/B test kind of approach where you can test it and be like, oh no, we'll try this one.
Yeah.
Without having that brand guideline, I don't think
your brochures are gorgeous.
They are.
Yeah.
No, but
how long ago was that? I was trying to think.
Well, they're still in use, I can assure you that.
Are they?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're still working. Was that before the pandemic? Was that like 2019?
I was going to say 2 years ago.
Because I think I was in my old office, like I've moved upstairs, but I was in a smaller office.
So yeah, it was definitely 2.5 years ago anyway, minimum. Could have been 3. Could have been 3, but they're still flying it. Still flying it.
Guys.
That's when you know something's good. The other point I was going to add to that was, and I know this has gone away from design, apologies, but when we're talking about that whole side hustle piece, and again, this could be for someone that's sitting at home.
Yeah.
If someone is in full-time employment and they are looking to kind of start something and not leave their full-time employment, sole trader is not the way to go. Just to clarify on that point, because
I was about to say, you know the answer to this.
Because the tax band, right, and that's what you have to keep going back to.
Yeah.
If you're earning, let's say, close to the 20% tax band, so if you're earning, let's say, 40,000 a year, whatever it may be, if you earn more than 42,000 with your income from the side hustle plus your full-time employment, everything above 42,000 is going to be taxed 52%.
So it's kind of pointless a bit.
Whereas if, like, again, touching back on the point that you made a little bit earlier, if you want to start a side hustle and you kind of need that 6 month safety net, private limited company, everything sits in a private limited company until you build up 6 months of salary to match that, and now you've kind of
that's a really good point.
Do you know?
So I could be so I work somewhere now and I'm like, I really want to work for myself, and I can start working at the weekends, not during work time. And that money just goes in there. I'm not taking any of it, and I'm not doing anything bold with tax.
No, absolutely not. It just sits in the business bank account. Let it build up.
You tell all the Venturable clients this now.
Do you know? But again, it did resonate with me when you were saying, for anyone at home, and I was like, that's a good way to actually explain the sole trader versus private limited company.
People are so scared of money.
Yeah,
I don't think they're as scared of what I do than they are scared of like money and what to do with it. Like some people are like, what do you do about tax? What do you do with this? That is, it is scary.
It is. I think it's the tax.
It is. Am I, you know.
The fact they call the revenue guy a sheriff, though, probably doesn't help things.
I know. He's so scary. But it is. It makes it so sinister. But even like my brother-in-law, the one that hated primary school, is a comedian, right?
He knew early.
He's a comedian. So when he tries, he's like he has to do like his tax returns, and he's always a bit like scared. He's always like, I have to, put this in and all that kind of stuff, and to the revenue. And it's like everyone's just so scared they're gonna, be caught out. But that's really good to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we are getting very, very close.
Yeah, to end time. I think the Venture Vault will obviously cover this as well. What resources would you suggest for someone? And definitely it will be the Venture Vault, but even you mentioned Canva. Like I, for example, started probably using Canva first, and then I went to Illustrator and Adobe.
Fair play to you, yeah.
So would that be kind of
music to my ears? Everyone's always scared of Adobe, and I'm like, use Adobe.
Me.
Yeah. Well, you can't do everything. I think you're doing so much stuff. You can't be like learning everything, but that's amazing.
But it scares me. Canva doesn't as much.
No,
Canva's,
Canva's made to not scare people, but it's Canva's getting like so much better. It has features now that like, you know, Illustrator does. Because I used to get frustrated. I was like, but you can't make it print ready if you want to print something. But now you can, apparently. Like I haven't done it yet. But like I think people use it a lot for social media. It's great for because you can collaborate on it and stuff and get people to check it and stuff like that. So Canva obviously great for I suppose I do you mean for design like or resources for design or just business because there's loads of stuff in general like Notion. Have you heard of the Notion app?
Yes.
Oh my God, for note taking. It is incredible. I actually don't even know the full extent of how good it is. Like you can have databases in there, you can have calculators in there, you can like have a whole life dashboard. It's basically a note taking software. Yeah. But it's all on like in the browser or there's an app as well, I think. But that's incredible. That's really, really good. Notion's amazing. For upskilling, I think there's a lot of cool sites like Skillshare for like, oh, I really want to learn Adobe Illustrator myself. Skillshare, Udemy or all those, I can never pronounce that probably. Yeah. That kind of thing. There's a guy called Daniel Scott who's Australian that lives in Dublin and he has his own company called Bring Your Own Laptop. Okay. And he does courses in everything. So I learned UI and UX from him and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of cool people out there that are really good, you know, resources and software wise. Yeah, Canva, Notion. What else do I use? Loom is amazing. Loom for recording your screen. Do you ever use it?
Yeah, have used it.
Oh my God, yeah. It's brilliant. Like, so you just record your screen, send someone the link. So you could be talking. I loved for branding because I'll design it and I hate just sending someone a logo because I'll go like, what, I don't get it. And you have to be like, it's like a presentation without having to get on a call. So because, you know, if you could just have your, I think you should, if you limit as much calls as you can, because sometimes they're a waste of time.
They are. I would say 75%.
Not when we're talking, guys. I love you guys.
But 75% of scheduled calls
are, all the biggest entrepreneurs always say first thing to do, take away all of your calls and say you're not available unless it's like a really big thing and do it once a month or whatever. But that's why Loom is great because you feel like you're
still
talking.
You're still getting your point across and explaining things, but you're doing it around your own time as well.
So very good. There's something interesting in there.
That leads me into another question. What you kind of touched on it as well, obviously. What do you think about AI and the threat it has on design?
Oh yeah, that's such an interesting question because it's really I use AI for ideas for things or for, do you know, it's really good for placeholder text for a website. You can just lash in stuff because they always say with design, don't give someone something with like Latin text. You have to make them kind of feel. So that it's great for that, or giving like just even, I sometimes give people taglines for their logos, even though they probably won't end up using it, but it's just ideas to kind of make them really feel it and all that kind of stuff. So in that sense, I think it's great. Obviously it's used a lot in, for like these amazing images that are really dreamy and incredible, and I think that is a little bit damaging to the actual artists that can do that stuff so incredibly, like you know, like but I think it might go down the line of like, you know, if you had a paint on your wall, go, that's an original, you know, Picasso or something like that. I think it might go, that's a human drawing or a human digital design.
It'll increase the value of it,
you know, and maybe it'll be like, do you know an actual, because the digital artists are insane, the stuff they can do. They can make incredible, they're the ones that do all the kind of pre-work for animated movies and things like they design, like they draw it all out before they even film it or before they actually turn it into a movie and they're so talented. So sorry, to answer your question, AI I think is good, but I just hope it's the design is still valuable. But I think it is. I don't think you can get an AI to do your full brand. Like, it can give you ideas. No. Or you can actually say to AI, give me do you know what I use it for actually? I actually love using it for this. If I'm doing a style guide for someone and I've got like all their colours and I've got like 10 colours in their colour palette, I'll be like, give me 10 names for blue. And they'll be like coral, like azure, like and everything. And then it's like fun names. Yeah. Like little just things different. Like that. Yeah. But you can't get it. Well, I don't know yet. You can get it to change colours in Illustrator. You can get it to change whole colour palettes. But other than that, I don't think they can't make logos yet. I don't think you can edit, like that you can have ownership over. I don't think.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever be as creative as people are. Like ever. Like I know I'm a big fan of AI, similar to yourself.
I think it's great. It is great. Yeah.
But in the right areas. Do you know what I mean? Like to the same extent of, let's say for example, there's another one that we use for presentations now. Yeah. Where you go on to Gamma, I think it's called. Right. You type in what you basically want your presentation to be. Yeah. It takes let's say 2 minutes and it just spits out, okay, you want 10 slides, here you go. Yeah. Now, obviously I wouldn't go in and present that in a conference hall.
But it gives you something to start with.
Exactly. It's a starting point. And I think that's the way it needs to be used as yes, you can give me inspiration, but you're not going to replace me ever.
100% inspiration for mood boards as well. It's great for branding and stuff like that. It is. I think we always need to move with the times and not be like, oh, Jesus, what's that? You know, that's very, you know, where if we don't move with it, then, you know, it's there anyway. So we have to work with it. But I think it is helpful.
A saying out there that AI won't replace you, but AI will replace people that don't use AI. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, it's basically, you need to get on and kind of understand it. You need to understand the benefits of it, understand the pitfalls of it equally.
Yeah.
But if you completely ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, then you're at risk of being left
Exactly.
behind.
And even if you use it for things like posts, like social, I've tried a bit for social, and I always end up changing it because it's too, I don't know, sometimes it's a bit, and you can actually say put it in a playful tone, and then it's real like all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually tell it to set the tone of like, write me a post about, you know, branding, but it's never what you exactly want it to be. You always get, but as you said, it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Shona, I would sit here and chat for literally
Are we going to the pub?
2 hours. I'd love to. But we do have, I suppose, a closing point. How can people reach out to you?
Oh, yeah.
And where can they keep up to date, I suppose, on the progression of the Venture Vault?
Yeah, so the Venture Vault will be theventurevault.ie because I couldn't get .com. Some guy is holding it hostage in this. He was like $40,000, and I was like, what? Because you know these people that buy these domains and sit on them. So that's happening. So theventurevault.ie, and I don't know, down the line I was like, I'll tackle Ireland for now. But and
hopefully
then
he's elderly. Hopefully he's elderly.
Yeah. He was so strange. It was really strange interaction. But the rainbowvault.com is my website, and then I'm on LinkedIn and all that stuff. LinkedIn, Instagram. Don't think I really use
We'll
Facebook.
make sure to tag you as well. We'll make sure to tag you.
Guys,
You've an
thanks so
awful,
much.
not at all.
Thank
You've an
you
awful
so
lot of expertise. Like I say, I'd love to stay here for another hour, to be honest. I feel like I'm not done.
No, this was like a good brainstorming thing for me. I was like, maybe I'll try this and this. But yeah, it was really fun.
One thing we close out on is a dilemma.
Yeah.
And it's called our contractor dilemma.
Contractor dilemma.
Again, contractor, freelancer, similar. So I want you
Interchangeable,
to,
yeah,
I want you to approach it in kind of a freelancer fashion, maybe. So Shona, if you can take it away.
It's actually from a freelancer, I would say. So I'm a newly established business with some freelance experience from the past. Need to transition from the typical CV format and develop a more dynamic client portfolio just to showcase my work when approaching new potential clients. So from a design perspective, I want to stand out. I want to do something different. So what suggestions do you have for building the portfolio? Make it unique, make it engaging, and are there any specific tools or techniques that you would recommend?
Oh, great question. Yeah.
Great question or questions?
Questions. Yeah. No, but it's so true. That's a lot of problems. So there's a design. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a design-related question. There's a lot of people struggle with that. I think I was touching earlier about, you know, maybe asking people in your local area, can you design for them? But another thing a lot of people do, if they're too afraid that they don't want to do that, is just start designing fake things. Like that's all Behance is. You know, Behance, that's what I should have said earlier for the resource. Behance is incredible for design stuff, and a lot of it is just a fake. So a whole brand for a software company, right? And it's called, you know, like, I don't know, a microphone, I don't know, something. And you design the whole brand thing as if it's a real project. You put it up in Behance and you're like, here's my work. So it's just design. Brilliant. There's something you want to design. AI would do this for you. Give me a list of things to design, you know, and it could be like landing page for a website. It could be, you know, packaging for a skincare company, and just do it like for fun. Be like, okay, I'm ticking one off. Illustrator, I would say, to use one by one and put them on Behance. And then before you have a website, I should have said this earlier as well, just share some on your Behance account. Behance is where people get hired as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Incredible talent on Behance. Yeah. Hope that helps.
It definitely does.
Design stuff for fun, like, you know, like what would I want to design like a festival landing page. Do it like fun. Yeah.
But it will also, like you say, identify the type of people that you want to work with as well.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Yes.
Do you know?
Yes.
So there's an awful lot of value there.
Yeah.
Awful lot of value.
Great.
Shona, thank you.
Thank you guys.
So
it's
much.
so fun.
Not at all. Like,
Same time next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that.
You're like, oh, she's here again.
No, it's been incredible. It's been incredibly valuable. I don't want to, I suppose, discourage any of our future potential guests, but it's going to be hard to top. It's absolutely going to be hard to top. So thank you so much for taking the time out.
So
we understand and appreciate how busy you are. Massive thank you to the guys in Factory 44, and thank you guys for tuning in and listening. We will see you again very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.